Hey folks, it's day 43, porn free, porn subs free, and I'm going to talk about a bunch of subjects today. Bunch of subjects. Had some epiphanies in the last few days and building on stuff in the last few weeks. So I want to talk about hard decisions, denial of reality, uh, irrational fear, and dreams as representing crises because I have had I've had this like major epiphany that I'm gonna have to make some seriously hard decisions this semester and over the summer, the next semester, onward and upwards from here because I'm at that sort of point in my life where it's kind of like I'm asking myself these difficult questions because being on Nofap and no porn, and also having watched certain videos about Off the Train where he talked about having underlying issues and you have to resolve those in order to really get off this whole addiction pattern. And some of this stuff has also been kind of like initiated by the fact that I've had these assignments in one of my classes. I think I just mentioned the successes transfers, where for most of the people in that class, they're on probation, including myself, and we have to ask ourselves, how did we get here? How are we going to get out of here? How are we going to get onto graduation? That sort of stuff, because it's like there's this phase in your life where you're in the education phase. Let's say, for instance, you're going to college and or technical school or whatever, and you need to get that done and then move on to the next stage of life. And for me, it's kind of been being stuck in second gear and having to ask myself, like, why am I still stuck in second gear at the age that I'm at, 30 years of age. And so a lot of this, you could say, is under the title of, under the sort of like the, not title, but like, you could put under this name of denial of reality, which essentially is what I've been doing as regards that. So, how did I come to that conclusion using that term? Well, one of the big assignments we were given was, or was it two of them? Was it was like a series of questionnaires. We had to answer the series of questions about our learning preferences, about our true color, which represents our nature as individuals, and then we had to like use that in forming an intro speech to give to the class. And I did give my speech, but I'm doing a redo of it next week on Friday. Um, Having put some more thought into it, really putting some more thought into it to kind of have it sort of succinct, concise. This is how I got on probation. This is what I'm gonna do. This is the sacrifices I'm gonna make. That sort of thing. Um, so it was learning preferences, our true color. Then we had to do a speech, and then finally, the most recent one that relates to this is this pathways assignment, which is essentially where you lay out your courses you're gonna take semester by semester, and me sitting there and realizing that I have to do things differently in terms of my course load and what I consider my priorities and such. Because having done my learning preferences and that true color assignments, discovered that I'm a unitary learner. I'm not a multitasker. And since my true color is green, I have a perfectionist streak and I want to learn everything. That's kind of one of my things that people like in my family, they refer to me affectionately as the walking encyclopedia. That I just know all these different things because I would read books on different subjects. And for a time in my life, there were positives to that. Like if I was on the academic league team, and there was some like really like random trivia questions were asked, people would kind of turn to me like, if there's someone on this team who knows that trivia question, it's gotta be him, because I would. That's what I did in my free time. I would read books and then I would, know obscure facts about different things, even if it was like movie trivia or if it was history trivia, whatever. I'd have that sort of, not say that I learned everything or knew everything, but if someone on the team was gonna know the answer to that question, then likelihood is they expected me to know that. And so there were positive to that. I mean, it could be something that if I went on a game show, I might win a lot of money, but you know, that game shows are not life, you know, and so that can really go against you. But other than the perfectionist streak and the wanting to learn everything, like I said, being a unitary learner, and that's something that I have not wanted to admit to. I want to deny, in part because due to both life experiences as well as how I was raised, I always had this sort of sense for the longest time. Well, not always. I had this sense for the longest time that in order to succeed, you have to be a multitasker. And I would try to go against my own nature as a unitary learner in order to become a multitasker and trying to lie to myself to say, oh, I'm a multitasker. I can do five things at the same time and, you know, have everything turn out great. And that has actually been in conflict with my perfectionist streak and my desire to learn everything. And that's one of the biggest causes of failure in my life that I've had this notion, like I said, that I had to be a multitasker in order to succeed, which is not necessarily true across the board. You can succeed by going at one thing at a time, you know, as long as you figure out how to do that, you know, and do that well. You know, you can build up, for instance, you could build up a varied skill set. You could end up getting a very, you know, high level of education and success in life, even being a unitary learner. You know, you can, but you have to set things up a certain way and have your sort of routine to do that. And as of now, I really haven't done that, you know. So I've been denying reality. That's like the first big thing I want to talk about is the whole denial of reality, which I have done, you know, so far, you know, even with PMO denying that I had underlying issues that caused me. It was just, oh, I'm stressed out, I'm anxious, I'm depressed. That's why I'm relapsing, as opposed to, no, there are bigger issues underneath all of that. And so finally confronting them. But anyway, so that's like the denial of reality concept. And now I want to move on to irrational fear of failure. And this does relate to that once more because it relates to the denial of reality and all the failures that have accompanied it. Excuse me. But that relates to it because I've had this like feeling of having to do a bunch of things all at the same time. That's the whole multitasking, the desire to be a multitasker, and I think I need to give an actual example for me to just not be repeating words and all that. But my big dream in life, you know, if we're talking about like, okay, like what would you do if you weren't afraid? What would you do if you didn't have to worry about money? All those sorts of things. What would I do? Astronaut. That's the big thing. That's why I study chemical engineering. That's why I'm studying chemical engineering. That's why, etc., etc., etc. So that's why I go out running when I do. You know, so on and so forth. It's all been towards that big goal. And the irony is that, you know, the irony of it is like for instance, I've read articles on different astronauts. You know, being interviewed. Like my big hero astronaut right now, at least, is Clayton Anderson. In part because it took him like 14 or 15 applications to NASA to get accepted and become an actual astronaut. And some of the stuff he talked about, like, okay, you know, you have the basic list of qualifications where they say, you know, bachelor's in a STEM field and, you know, uh, 3 or more years of, you know, increasingly responsible, you know, work, progressively responsible work, you know, more like you go from being engineer to being engineering manager and so on, that sort of thing. Um, and, you know, your visual acuity, your visual ability has to be 2020 or correctable to 2020, you know. Stuff like that. Like, you have those list of things, but then it's like, what do you do to set yourself apart from the pack, you know? And so he's talking about, oh, all these, you know, astronaut candidates, they go to get, or astronaut hopefuls, they go to get their scuba certification, they go to get their pilot's license, they, you know, become radio operators, they go and hike all these, or climb these highest mountains in the world, so they have a list of other things to themselves besides, oh, I just have my degree and I've worked for a few years. And seeing that and combining that with this underlying fear I've had that if I don't do it all now, like right now, that I'm not going to get it accomplished, that life's going to come along and derail me, and, things are going to happen, whether it's through getting married, or which is ironic because I actually want to get married, or whatever the case may be, that stuff will come along and I better get it done right now because, I don't want to end up being one of those people who said, oh, if only I, da 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 da, I'd be doing this or this. Which is ironic because, like I said, all these things have led up to my failures in life, which is why I'm not where I would be if I had made these hard decisions earlier, not denied reality, and contended with this irrational fear of failure, which has led to failure. And, this all ties into my goals in life, my big goal in life, which, like I said, is becoming an astronaut, going to outer space and exploring it. So, I'm going to close this video out now with my final thing, which I really want to talk about. And I know I've recorded and re-recorded this video, so I have to go back and re-watch and see if I actually gave a list at the beginning of this recording of what I was going to talk about. I just kind of jumped into it because I just wanted to get it done finally. But my final thing is the concept of dreams as crises, and I'm speaking on this now because last night, see, I had a nocturnal mission or a wet dream, but the dream that I had after that, because I woke up from that and then I went back to sleep, the dream I had after that was really it was both intriguing and almost scary in a sense because I may have mentioned this earlier in other videos more recently, but as I've gone on, the dreams that I've been having have, like I said, had less and less to do with sex and sexuality, and obviously less and less to do with porn or pornography, porn subs, whatever. It's more been I've been lifting these veils, in my mind, and things are coming to the surface. And so, for instance, in there's a dream that I had. I got into an argument with my mother, and a lot of it had to do with the fact that she was being very abusive towards myself, my sister, and my father, and I was essentially being the one who was required to quote unquote verbally put her in her place, stand up for everyone else, trying to get her to see the light, so to speak, and stop her abusive behavior. And in the dream, she was just being, denying it, acting like I was crazy for calling her out on her behavior. And in my dream, I almost got violent with her, and I woke up from that, and it was just kind of wait, okay, that was just a dream. This is really intense, and it was also one of the big things I've had to contend with over the years living with my family, which I'm not living with them now, but it's one of the things that I'm glad that I'm not having to face on a daily basis now that I'm living here. But I saw that dream as representing a crisis that I'm going to have to overcome in the future if I haven't already, which from the fact that I'm having these dreams, this means that I haven't overcome them. I haven't very least made my peace with it. And yeah, so I think as I get on further and further, any of these dreams I have are going to be representative of those underlying things because, I've buried them away. I buried them with PMO. I buried away my denial of reality with PMO. I buried away this realization of, my irrational fear of failure. I buried away the fact that if I'm going to get to my goals, I'm going to take a different path because, I can get to the point of having all those skills that an astronaut candidate would be required to have. Even as a unitary learner, I can do that, but I have to develop and implement the framework. And I'm not going to be doing that if I want to keep on either A, denigrating myself for not being a multitasker, or B, trying to tell myself that I'm a multitasker and I just plain simply, am not right now. And, I can learn to do multitasking, but right now, where I'm at the very least, I have to accept the fact that I'm a unitary learner, at least for now. Maybe I'll have to accept that for the rest of my life and just do my best with that. But, all these things are tied together and into this whole sort of realization of that I gotta change things. I gotta change things. I gotta do things differently. And that's the hard decision I have to make. Because before my camera runs out of power, I have books like this I want to read, and I've justified reading them by saying, "Oh, I'm going to do a, monetized book review and put that up on one of my channels, and I'll make some money off of it." But in the bigger picture, in the bigger, what's the word I'm trying to say? In the bigger scheme of things, grander scheme of things, that stuff's not going to get me where I want to get myself to be, Not necessarily like literally that book or reading, literature, but doing that when I should be doing this, not have my priorities straight, that sort of deal. And, you know, I would like to look back in 5 to 10 years and actually say that I got my act together and got my life together, and regardless of the things that were lost, I, regained them, or I gained things in general, and, made up for the lost ground or what have you. So, gotta make those hard decisions, and one of them, of course, includes getting a job, but I think I talked about that already and don't want to go on about it too much. So, anywho, if we want to get ahead in life, and no fab, no porn subs, anything, we're going to have to make hard decisions. We're going to have to ask ourselves difficult questions, and we're going to have to figure out what is really going on underneath all this stuff, underneath all of our bad decisions, underneath all of our bad feelings, what's really going on. And I really hope this video hasn't been too jumbled up, because yeah, I have a bunch of stuff I want to talk about. So having to make hard decisions, even down to like planning out my classes, because I don't want to be like going off in 5 different directions in terms of what my courses are. I gotta focus on getting past my chemical engineering classes, especially those gatekeeper classes, because it's like once you get past that, it's all downhill from there. It's a heck of a lot easier. But that's both the combination of creating that base of knowledge, that knowledge base, and also developing the right kinds of habits to get through those classes and do well. So yeah, I think that's it. So it's time to ask ourselves difficult questions, get a bit uncomfortable, find out what's really going on, and make those hard decisions, and do what we gotta do to get ahead in life. Because PMO addiction is just a symptom of an underlying or deeper problem, or deeper problems in our lives, and unless we're willing to face up to that, we're not going to get anywhere. So yeah, thanks for watching, folks. I hope this was helpful. I hope it made sense enough, at least. And thanks for watching my videos. Thanks for taking the time out of your lives to to listen to me. And thanks for the likes, the comments, the subscriptions. Appreciate it, and I'll see you around next time. Bye.